in heels. Chicks take scars. Glory lasts forever.
The bad machines, bitch!
Chuck, we meet again, and we gather here tonight to talk some sports. How you doing, Chuck?
Man, I'm doing good. It's good to be back on the Running Sheep podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to everybody that listens to us. And I know you're out there. It may be a small gathering of people. We sure do appreciate it. And we're slowly but surely growing, man.
Right, like a handful of people and my grandmother. We appreciate you and all the Facebook likes and comments. And,
amen to that.
You know, we'll keep this thing rolling. Chuck, what's going on here as far as with the opening drive?
Opening drive, man. Let's kick things off. And a lot of NBA action's been going on. I think the biggest thing that everybody's been like buzzing about here lately is Luka's big-time game winner. I think he had a big game. It was like 42 points, and he just had like a triple-double that game. That dude, he's so much fun to watch, man. That kid's got something, man.
He's really good. He's a lot better than I ever thought he would have been coming out.
Yeah.
I think I've said that before, but he come back off the injury, and you didn't know how he was going to perform, but he kind of adapted his game a little bit.
He did.
To that slower pace of not having to put so much, stress as far as that goes on the injury. Goes off, man, and then ends up hitting the game winner like super clutch mode. And if you haven't seen it, then you haven't been on social media at all over the past couple of days.
Like I said, it's been lighting everything on fire. Like social media, you have players on Twitter just like shouting out to this guy, because when he shot it, when I watched it, I kind of had that feeling, but he had that. I'm not saying he's not Kobe Bryant by any means, but he had kind of that Mamba mentality, man. When he got the ball, it's like you knew immediately this kid is going for the win. And the shot was crisp, man. It was nice. It was an awesome shot. But
to cap off a 43-point night.
There you go.
Right? He had 13 assists, and listen to this, 17 rebounds in that game. That's one hell of a triple-double.
That is a hustling.
That's putting the team on your back in every sense of the word.
Absolutely. But they're going to need him again tonight. They go at it again tonight. And to me, I just feel like the Clips are a better team than the Mavs right now. But the Mavs are making the plays. It's just like, they're going to need Porzingis tonight, but he's not going to play. So they're going to have to call on Luka again to carry the load. And you got to wonder, is the kid got the gas to go, man? Does he have it?
He's in year 2 in the NBA, and he's exceeded all of our expectations. He's the real deal. Like you look at NBA players, and he's got that certain attitude about him, the competitive drive, and a lot of pretty good skill sets, it looks like, that are equating into him being a superstar down the road if he's not already to that status, especially the way that he's playing right now. But he's on one, but he's going to have to keep it going tonight. At the point that we record this, the Nuggets Jazz are currently in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Of course, Nuggets up 92-90 currently, if that time stamps us. But that series, Utah's leading that one 3-1 right now, too.
That's been a fun series. We had that epic duel between Mitchell and Murray. I think Mitchell had like 51, and then Murray had like 50. Dude, that's been a spectacular series to watch. Not only that, you had Houston claw their way back against OKC, man. The West has just been very, very entertaining as far as like big moments, shootouts. You've had the Lakers really starting to show that they're a team to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they've come back in that series there too. But staying in the West there, as far as just at the bottom of the bracket. So with Utah-Denver, we talked that. If Denver loses tonight, they're out.
Yeah, they're done.
Right, they're out.
They're gone.
And the winner of this plays the Clippers-Mavericks winner.
That's two tough ones right there.
So that could set up a pretty good little matchup right there, too.
Yeah,
but you think whatever team, Dallas or the Clippers, they're going to be favored in that next matchup.
Absolutely. I just, with Porzingis not being a part of that team right now because he's out with an injury, I just feel like Luka is going to have to carry that load again. And Like I said, the kid is great, but he's coming off an injury, and he proved he did fine with it. But you got to feel that it's still there. That injury's still there. So, Ryan, what do you think? Do you still think he's still got another great game like that in the tank for this season?
I'm not going to doubt him, but you would think, to me, the Clippers, with the wing guys that they have, being as good at defenders as they are in Kawhi and Paul George, you would think that they would have somebody to throw at Luka. I would put one of those guys on him at all times and just try to shut him down, because then, who are you going to make plays? Curry's playing good, too.
Yeah, he is. He's playing great.
He's way underrated, especially in the way that I saw him as a player. He's playing great there, too. I mean, they're going to need more out of Hardaway, obviously, with Porzingis being out. But, I think either one of these teams, Dallas and the Clippers, both really good teams. Dallas has a great future if they can keep this core together.
They do.
The Clippers, though, they're going for it this year.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
do you think the Clippers have enough going past this round? Say if they can make it past Dallas, we would think that they probably would have enough to make it past Utah or Denver. But at that point, do they have what it takes to actually make it to the finals?
I believe they do. It's just you got the coach and Doc Rivers. He's been there and done that. He knows the grind of the playoffs. He's very experienced. And to me, they've got some depth, man. You got 2 6-man of the year potential players that are already on the bench, and you're lucky to have one on your team. You got 2 of them, one being Lou Williams, and I forget who the other.
Pat Beverly?
There you go. Pat Beverly's another good one. And then also you got the superstar player in Leonard. To me, they should have been dominating Dallas. It's just I applaud the effort, though, of Dallas. Dallas is not just showing that they're here to play ball. Maybe it's because of the bubble. If we didn't have the bubble and went back to the old ways, then maybe L.A. Clips could have probably swept them. But not in this case, man. Luka's balling out, and we've got a different result, and we've got a series, 2-2. Do I think they can go to the finals? Yes, I do. I think they're the team to meet up with the L.A. Lakers in the Western Conference Finals.
So before the game starts, right now, it looks like they're giving Dallas 8.5 points as far as the spread on Bovada.
Wow.
So the Clips favored by 8.5 in that. That may be one I may need to throw a parlay on as we talk here.
You better.
So we look at that. Also looking at tomorrow's matchups, and we'll talk about some of these other ones too. But currently, Orlando, big-time underdog going into that matchup against Milwaukee, where they're favored to lose by 14. Favored to lose. They're projected to lose by 14 as far as that goes. That's the point spread on that. OKC getting 3 points against Houston. And they just came back and made that a series. The hand sanitizer took a fall for that game, right?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, Harden is just like, he's just walking through. They just won game 4, tied the series 2-2, clawed back up, just pushes the hand sanitizer nonchalantly. He's like, I don't need this, man. Nothing can touch me right now, man. And it's true. I mean, the Cats, man, balling out. He's playing Luka ball right now. I mean, James Harden plays his own game, and he's probably the best at what he does.
I'm surprised that series is tied at 2-2 right now. No disrespect to Chris Paul, but I just didn't think they would be hanging with the Rockets. I thought they may win one game in this series, but it's tied 2-2 going into tomorrow's matchup. And, tomorrow's a big game. They still don't have Westbrook back, and I don't know if they're going to have him back for this series.
It's a high possibility. It's just, if they don't get Westbrook back, they won't get past the next round.
Eric Gordon cannot seem to put the ball in the bucket.
Mm-mm. It's been all Harden right now, man. And for them to have a chance, if they get past the Thunder, for them to have a chance, they've got to have Westbrook. They've got to. So with that being said, couple of coaching and news here. Nick Nurse won the Coach of the Year. Kind of expected that. What he's doing in Toronto right now, man, he's turned that team into a very good contending team. Even without Kawhi Leonard there, that team is still stellar, still good.
For sure. Kawhi put the team on his back is what pretty much the storyline was. But little did we know They were such a good team underneath all that, right?
That was.
I mean, Toronto plays good ball. I don't know if they're going to have enough to take down Boston here in the second round because both those teams playing pretty well, both coming off sweeps.
They are. And you got one coach got let go today. Well, not today, but got let go this weekend. 76ers head coach Brent Brown is out.
Brown.
He's been there at the beginning, man, of the process.
He was there through the whole process. You kind of feel bad for him because he sat there through some really bad seasons. He got one real shot, right?
He did.
Got one real shot and lost on that shot from Kawhi Leonard last year. Remember the one that bounced straight up off the rim and in?
That was crazy. I was like, I watched it and I bounced up and I thought, I was like, we're going to overtime. And it just, you can just tell the way it was playing with that rim. You're like, it's going to go in.
But you know how it is nowadays. If you have a fan base that thinks you're in contention with or without Simmons in the series, if you get swept, especially by a team like Boston there, you know how that goes. Boston, Philly.
Yeah.
It's almost like they have to sacrifice somebody. And it was Brown here. A lot of people would say, he should have been fired, years ago. We'll see. Maybe some folks would argue he should have never even had the job to begin with.
Who could be a good good coach to come in and build that team? I mean, it's not like Philly in the past. This Philly team actually has the team.
What about Mark Jackson?
Mark Jackson's a good one. What about good old Lou?
You think?
Maybe.
You think Ty Lue needs to come in there?
Maybe Ty Lue.
The Philly?
Well,
after the whole Allen Iverson thing?
He coached what? Oh, that's hilarious.
The step over?
Well, I got another one. Mike Brown.
Okay, it's not very exciting if you're a Philly fan.
Well, there's really no big names out in the pond right now, though.
Yeah, we'll have to see, I guess.
But right now, the 76ers are in limbo. It makes you wonder where this team is going to go. And right now, they're trending downward, man. They might be heading back to another process.
Do you think that they keep the core of pretty much those two together? Because after the whole process, that's pretty much what you're left with, right? Embiid and Simmons.
Yeah.
Can they coexist? Do you think, who are they going to bring in there to make that work?
I mean,
perimeter shooters.
You're going to have to have shooters for one. To me, that's the biggest Achilles heel. You got to get over the drama, man. I feel like there's just too much drama there.
Would you split those guys up if you were the GM? Would you look for trade options for
either
one? Embiid, you're probably not trading, right?
No, I'm keeping him.
If he's healthy, he's tremendous. Like he's a top 5
center. Yeah,
center for sure.
Absolutely. I would probably trade Simmons when it's all said and done because he can't shoot. He can distribute the ball.
Who would be a good suitor for Simmons, though, if theoretically he was traded? Who do you think would actually go in there and make sense for them to be a trade partner with?
What about the Phoenix Suns? That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, who's coming from the Suns? As an equivalent, right? Unless Devin Booker demands his way
That's
out.
why I'm saying maybe if they trade Simmons and maybe a first-round pick and get Devin Booker, but I don't think that's a good deal.
The Suns are going to be all in to keep Booker around after the way he performed in the bowl.
I feel like they would trade some picks off because Simmons' value is not that big.
You don't think so? I think he's still, he's still very young.
He's
got a very high upside. He's going to have to learn to shoot, which is easier said than done. You've seen a lot of players, not be able to get that done. But in today's NBA, I feel like more than ever, you can teach somebody to shoot long range.
What about the Pelicans? That'd be a good one. They've got some assets they can trade.
I don't know. I don't know if they have enough to equate what you would think they would be asking out of Simmons.
But as Simmons goes, he can't be the main player. He's going to have to go to a team where it's got a star player. You're going to have maybe L.A., maybe Houston. A team that needs a good contributing factor in that Simmons. Simmons is probably the best ball contributor out there. He's not the scoring talent that is needed. You know what I'm saying?
If he stays in Philly, that's what they're going to need from him. He's going to have to learn to put the ball in the bucket, or he's going to have to change positions.
It's a bad thing when your own teammates do a big standing ovation when you make a three. That's bad. That's bad, man. But
you look at the other matchup there. So the Heat, they just took it to the Pacers. Right?
Swept them.
Got them
out.
They're now waiting on the winner of the Milwaukee-Orlando series.
That
there.
would be a cool series. If Milwaukee gets through Orlando and meets the Heat, that'd be a fun. I mean, you got Butler. Could you imagine the Butler and Bledsoe matchup there? I think they would meet up a couple of times.
I've not given the Heat enough credit, I guess. I just discounted them every step of the way.
I forgot
They
them.
play good team ball, and it's tough to hate on what they're doing down here. That's a Coach of the Year candidate right there too, right? Spoelstra.
Yeah. So I mean,
and Jimmy, you can't hate on what he does. He brings the intensity. As a Memphis fan, he kind of embodies that whole thing, right? He's a hustling dude. He plays the game, I feel like old school basketball players, the way they feel it needs to be played.
Kind of like that Jordan mentality. You push your teammates, and your teammates thinks you're a jerk, but what you're really doing is trying to get your team on the next level.
Well, like he did out in Minnesota.
Yeah.
When he said that he came in there, he picked up 2 scrubs off the bench, challenged the young guys there, Wiggins and Cat and whoever else, was there at the time, and mopped the floor with them, apparently. Came in there and tried to prove a point, told them they were all soft, and you see things aren't exactly boding well for Minnesota. They just got the number 1 pick in the lottery. Isn't that right?
Yeah, they did got the number 1 pick. And I think the Golden State got number 2.
Do you think Golden State sticks with that?
Could be a possible trade, but I don't know. It's just, to me, I don't think they need it, per se, because they still got the nucleus around. I mean, Klay Thompson was still on a knee injury there, and you had Curry that got hurt.
You'll have a healthy Steph. You'll have a healthy Klay, you would presume, coming into next year. Also, Wiggins is there. Andrew Wiggins, that's where he got traded.
And then you got
but would you think like you could pair maybe a Wiggins and that number 2 overall pick and go out there and go after a third star to pair with?
You could. I mean, it's a high possibility.
Two guards.
But who would you want to pair? Who would you want to go after? You want more of a backcourt presence?
If you're Golden State, if you're the GM and you have those assets, first off, would you be looking at trading it? Second off, where may you be looking? Like, what superstar would you be trying to bring in with that? First you got to think like,
it's crazy.
Where's somebody where they're not totally set on being there? Like, they're not loyal to that city, right? Maybe somebody that's wanting out currently.
Kind of like a Kevin Durant,
Well, I mean, him and Kyrie are going to be playing in Brooklyn next year, you would presume, too. Should be healthy, right? You would think they would opt in and play next year.
But I'm trying to think. Maybe a Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota.
You think he's happy there, and they got the number 1, so maybe maybe he doesn't want to rebuild.
They're saying
again.
This Wiseman kid from Memphis is supposed to be the top pick.
You think he goes or Ball goes first?
I think Ball goes first.
You think Ball goes first in Minnesota?
If you're keeping Cat, why go after Wiseman? Why? I mean, you're going to take Ball. You're going to take Ball at guard. You have to.
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be crazy though if they did pull that off? Like, say they got Karl Anthony Towns down in Golden State. This is just presuming. We're just, spitballing fantasy here. But what if it did happen? Karl Anthony Towns.
But you also have D'Angelo Russell there too.
Yeah,
and you would think he's going to play point guard for you, right? I mean, he could play the 2, but he's a little undersized for that. But, I mean, when you look at that roster, there's not much outside of Towns and Russell. So, I mean, if you're Minnesota, maybe you look to move on from him. Wouldn't that be wild, though, if they did stack like the 1 and 2?
It's a good bargaining chip, but like, hey, we want Karl Anthony Towns we'll give you a 2nd-round pick, and we'll even throw
number 2.
We'll throw you number 2 pick.
I think that's quite the dream as far as that goes.
I think that's a pipe dream.
For which one, maybe a nightmare for another one. I don't see that trade happening, but you never know. I mean, either one of those teams, I could see trading that pick, certainly. Maybe you're Minnesota and you want to trade that 1 to maybe try to bring in a legitimate superstar. Maybe you want to try to accelerate the rebuild that they seem to be going through there. I don't know.
Do you happen to know where Memphis is picking this year?
No, it's a little bit later.
But I think it wouldn't matter if we get a pick. I feel like we've already got a good nucleus around us, regardless. But you never know who can be out there late. A lot of good value comes later in the draft. I'd say since we about made the playoffs, it'll probably be like 15th, 16th, probably right in the middle of the pack. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah, it's outside the lottery.
But no big deal. I mean, but like I said, we could probably trade out because I feel like we've already got a good nucleus around us anyways for.
We'll be in a spot where you can pick value. You know, as far as that goes, you're not going to have to look at a specific spot. You want to go try to find a shooter like everybody else is trying to find right now, but especially for this team to spread the floor, because if you're looking to bring that team back, if we're talking Memphis, I mean, that's the only thing that you're really missing, right, is another high-clip guy. And the young guys are going to get better at that anyways.
Oh,
too,
yeah, regardless. Absolutely. I feel like whoever we get in the draft will be a valuable asset. I feel like the last 2 or 3 drafts, we've hit a home run as far as, like, getting a good core value of.
They've been a very high pick, too, though. High lottery pick.
We could be like the New York Knicks.
Oh, gosh.
Screw it up every year.
That would be miserable.
If you don't believe me, listen to Stephen A. Smith on YouTube talk about it. It's freaking hilarious. You think UT fans blow up every chance we blow something? Get with Stephen A. about his New York Knicks. It's freaking hilarious. But, and also one more thing, Damian Lillard's going to be out of action as well. I feel like it wouldn't have mattered anyways. I feel like the Lakers have finally taken over that series now.
Yeah, but especially with him going down, things aren't looking good for Portland. I think the Lakers are going to close them out the next game. I'd be surprised if they can stretch that thing out. But looking at just the playoffs in general, has your opinion changed from the start of this thing to now as far as who do you think is going to win the East? Who do you think is going to win the West?
West is still the Lakers. I think it's still between the Lakers and the Clips. But I feel like it's more towards the Lakers now because they really not only come back, but they're showing true dominance as a team. The East has kind of changed me a little bit. I said it was between Milwaukee and Toronto. Boston's coming in that conversation now, man. I mean, it's going to be key between Boston and Toronto in that next series. To me, the winner of that one could darn well come out and win the East and go on to the finals.
You think they could beat Milwaukee and get there?
Yes. I think they're both gritty, good chemistry teams. And it's just I feel like Milwaukee is a good team, but they're just not as gritty as both of those teams are.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be one of the LA teams, but I think more so it's going to be the Lakers playing the Celtics, which how epic would that be as far as a finals rematch of that rivalry right there, just to keep that going.
I mean, if you look at L.A. and Boston, it's truly one of the more better rivals in American sports. When you think of that, you think of like Boston, New York, Bama, and Auburn. Just some of these high-profile
you think
rivalries.
Magic, Bird,
absolutely.
You think Kobe.
Yeah,
Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, those guys.
Yeah, big
during
three.
Those matchups, it was
the
phenomenal.
big three versus the Black Mamba, man.
You got both of those matchups.
Yeah, so, I mean, in that case, who would you have as the marquee matchup in that? Like LeBron versus Jaylen Brown?
Tatum. I mean, obviously Tatum, but Jaylen Brown's playing tremendous, too.
Yeah.
You like what you see
You
from
like
him.
what Walker has? I mean, Walker's played well, man.
I mean, it would be a nice matchup. And, as far as just the way that they would match up, I don't specifically know. I think Tatum and LeBron would see each other quite a bit.
A lot, I think.
Right? Davis down low. That's going to be the tough matchup for them.
Right. But we'll see, man. I'm really excited what we got in store because I think it's been a blast so far. No positive test yet. Amazing. But in bigger news, man, we've had our first taste of football, man, meaning high school sports is back in Tennessee, man. And I'm really excited. I just want to kind of talk about it, some of the scores. For example, we had Cookeville and Upperman play Thursday night. Big rivalry.
They played over at Tennessee Tech.
Yeah, that's usually like the big, Highway 56 rivalry right there. It's a big deal there.
I mean, it's still fairly new because they didn't play for like 50 years. They started playing again. It's
been a couple
years. This is year 5 or year 6 of that. Starting back up, Cookeville obviously winning the first couple, but the last 2 years, Upperman's won.
Upperman has had talent. But it's just, to me, the rivalry has always been there because the trash talk's there because they always talk to Upperman as being like the second-rate Cookeville. If you get rejected in Cookeville, you go to Upperman. But Upperman's really proved their worth over the years.
Yeah, they had a lot of turnover from a team that went pretty deep into the playoffs. For the past 2 years, they've had some good runs. Just a younger team, but they got blanked there. What were some of the other scores?
The Cookeville. By the way, the Cookeville and Upperman game was 28-0 at Tech. It was a drubbing. It was a drubbing. We got we had DeKalb County listeners out there. We had the score on that. It was a 24-30 defeat to Warren County. Don't know much about Warren County, but I've played way back in 2007. That feels like forever. DeKalb was a good, decent team throughout the years, and they've always been a good, moderate team down there. So seeing them lose was pretty heartbreaking. Of course, RBS, Red Bull and Springs, lost 6-41 to Sunbright. God, they just can't catch a break. I remember they had this big ESPN special about the team that lost so many games for like 5-6 years in a row, and they win, and it was like a freaking Super Bowl party for them. I laughed. I'm sorry. That was not feel good to me because to me, coming from Jackson County, that was the one game that we had to win. That was the one game we put you under our boot and squished and just wiped it away. But it was funny. But they lost 41-6. Macon County beat the Tar Lickens off of Smith County 43-7.
Oh, man.
That's crazy, man. I mean, to me, Smith County has always been a pinnacle of football, man. And that got drubbed. That's crazy.
It's a tough way to start the year off right there for sure. But, yeah, like you said, usually Smith County puts a pretty good team out there. You're going to go through some of these
They have
seasons
90
of high school
kids that
football.
go out and try. I mean,
Wow.
it's a lot of bodies out there. It's a lot of depth. Jackson County, my alma mater.
You guys get the win?
We got the win. 8-0 over the
barn
York.
burner.
We beat the York Dragons. I think it was the first time in like almost 20 years.
Ooh, Gainesboro and Jamestown.
Woo! Suck it. But I feel good about it. Hey, it's good to see my alma mater get a win.
It's good to see high school football.
Oh, man, it was just nice to see on Facebook. They posted some of them live. I saw the Cookeville Upperman live one on the Thursday, and I saw the Jackson County one, and I think I saw a glimpse of Livingston Academy and Westmoreland, that game was 12-10 Livingston Academy victory over Westmoreland. But like you said, it was nice to see because it just kind of takes us back away from all the COVID, all the social injustice going on, just kind of taking a back seat from all that and just actually watching football. It was nice.
Yeah, hopefully it lasts.
So, I mean, so far, it sounded like a big success. So, let's just hope this COVID tests keep down and so we can keep pushing forward. I'm very excited. So, we go from high school football to college football. See, we're working our way up. We're going to the college level now. We got the NCAA giving fall athletes an extra year. Ryan, good move or bad move?
That's a good move. We've talked a few times about how even if they had to cancel the season, it'd be the easiest way to do it with college football this year. Although it looks like we're moving forward with the season, which is tremendous.
Yeah, for the
because
SEC, yeah.
You can give those players that extra year of eligibility, which is a good thing. It's them doing something out of good faith for once.
Right. I feel like that is a good move because you never know what's going to happen with COVID. It could knock you out for the rest of the season depending on your health. And you might get a medical red shirt for it and come back next year and try. I mean, not everybody's going to be first-round picks. There's actually college athletes that want to improve on their stock. So, there
and
you
some
go.
of those guys that opted out, they're going to get that extra year to come back and play next year.
Yeah, but half of them
regardless of what their future is.
Yeah, I think half of them, though, are hired agents and just went on and I think Bateman, though, from Minnesota, I think he's hired him an agent because he was projected to be the top receiver in the draft.
Especially this year, gives
just
you that
go
excuse.
on. Yeah, just go on, keep working out, separately. You hate that you're not playing, but you got to do what's best for your future.
For sure.
But, and other news, as far as attendance go, the Miami Hurricanes will have attendance. Not sure how many they're going to have. I think it's about 10 grand that's going to show up, I think. Don't have an accurate number at Hard Rock Stadium. Now, also the Fins have come out. The Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, have said they're going to come out and have fans. On top of that, Tennessee got approval from the NCAA to go ahead and have fans in Neyland Stadium, but restricts it to 25%. So we're going to get about 25%.
And no tailgating, right?
No tailgating.
Do you think that they're actually going to police that, though? Because, I mean, you can tailgate probably anywhere off of campus, right? Which is anywhere close to there.
Tailgate could be anything you want it to be. You can,
And how are they going to police it? Like right now here in town, you're supposed to be wearing masks. I think it's mandated like in certain stores, but you go in there and folks aren't doing it. And like, how good's a policy if you don't enforce it? So 25%, I'm sure somebody will be making sure that there's an accurate count there, but that's going to be tough. And policing all the activities that go on in the parking lot.
I think they've done.
At UT games, it's pretty crazy.
It gets crazy. There's a part there, like before you get to the stadium, they have a bunch of bars in a row and some restaurants. It just goes back to what I said, Ryan. It doesn't matter what kind of tailgate you have. It doesn't have to necessarily be behind the back of a truck or in a big gathering at Vol Navy. It could be at a bar. I mean, it could be at a restaurant. It just depends what kind of.
I've tailgated at the back of several trucks. That's the definition,
It is. But Tennessee's tailgating is a lot different than a lot of places. It's not like a Titans game where tailgate is considered like going off the back of a truck.
Well, people around here, they're begging for anything to do as
Right.
especially when it comes to football games. Now, Hard Rock Stadium, like, the Canes, the Fins, likely nobody wants to go to those anyways, maybe until Tua actually gets to start. But Tennessee games, if they can fill 25%, they will certainly fill 25%
it's going to be
easy.
filled. I think they've done let know the season ticket holders. That might be, I wonder if that's going to work. That's a good question. I didn't even really think about that. Are they going to give the season ticket holders the first dibs on the seats?
You would think.
You would think so. You pay the extra money for it. And then if you don't show, do you go ahead and give up that seat to the next fan? It's
I don't know.
It's kind of weird. But we had the top 25 preseason poll released, Ryan. So
hit us with it, man.
all right, man. We've got at number 1, as expected, I figured it'd be Clemson. Clemson got 38 first
Fair.
place.
Trevor Lawrence coming back.
The obvious is Trevor Lawrence. But they do have a lot of turnover at receiver.
You think Trevor Lawrence is the number 1 pick?
He's going to be.
He would really have to screw up this senior year.
I think Jacksonville is on the get Trevor Lawrence tour.
Jacksonville? You think Jacksonville's going to be bad enough to draft a number 1 overall?
When we did the over and under, who I said go 0-16, it was Jacksonville. I think they go after Lawrence.
What about that team there in Washington?
Nah.
They could be drafting high again, too.
They could, but
Haskins, maybe he shows some upside
who knows?
this year.
Maybe Alex Smith, Cheeto leg
I'm
comes out there,
rooting
man.
for Alex Smith, but
I am
that's
too,
a terrible joke is the Cheeto leg.
I'm
But-
sorry.
Man, I'm rooting for him. I don't know if I want to see him out there. I hope to see him do good things. I don't know. That's all I'll say.
I just think Jacksonville's more in the running because they seem like they're more in prime to tank. I could be wrong. They could go and really do something, but I just don't see it. Ohio State comes at number 2 with 21 first-place votes. Alabama comes at number 3. That's kind of surprising, man. I figured it'd be Alabama, number 2.
I don't know. Ohio State's been pretty good, and they're returning quite a few players there on both sides of the ball.
But they're not going to play.
That's a good point, Chuck.
They're not going to play. So, even though they have come out and they said they want to play. So,
At what point is that deadline official, and how do the rankings work if they're including teams that aren't playing? Obviously, they're going to fall off of there, right? With due time. But are they assuming right now that Ohio State's going to find a way to play?
That's a good question because I think Kirk Herbstreit really touched something saying there that the national championship will have a gigantic asterisk on it when you look back at it in history.
If it's the SEC and ACC playing, look, one of those teams is winning that college playoff regardless. So I don't see the need in putting the asterisk there anyways. And if you come out of one of those, the ACC is another story, but if you come out of the SEC with a 10-game SEC slate and you come out with a good enough record to play in the playoff, which you would presume one maybe 2 losses this year.
If you go undefeated in that 10-game slate in the SEC, I think you need to be the number 1 team, win the national championship.
I think that would easily happen.
Because if Arkansas comes out undefeated against the schedule they have, they need to be Super Bowl and national champions by any means. But they ain't. And then you got Georgia at 4, Oklahoma at 5. Number 6, LSU, kind of a surprise. I think that's a little overrated there as far as like how much turnover they got there. Penn State at 7, Florida at 8.
Okay. Fair.
So you think that's fair?
That's fair. I would have ranked them higher than Penn State, certainly. But you know what? Look, even at that position, you're in control of your own destiny.
You are. I mean,
all of those SEC teams in the top 10.
You knew Georgia was going to be in the top 5 regardless. Yeah. So, to me, I think you and LSU need to switch that spot. I think Florida's done enough to, earn themselves at least a high top team.
With Trask coming back and all the starters that you do bring back, that they would be favored a little bit more. But look, I'm not going to hate on it.
And to round out the top 10, Oregon at 9, Notre Dame at 10. So out of all that, you're going to have 2 teams at least, 3 teams that are not going to play in Oregon, Penn State, and Ohio State. So it's going to be interesting to see where we go. How's this going to work in the rankings? Are we going to play in the fall and then the spring everybody else plays and then meet in the summer for the national championship? I don't know, man.
It's going to be interesting to see.
It just goes back to, like I said, it's communication. I think they should have just stuck it out this year and played. But, Tennessee got 25th this year, and that's...
So with those teams that aren't included, maybe they're in the top 20 that way easily, right? At least to start the year.
Well, the reason I didn't bring them up, a lot of them's not playing. Like, you got Texas, Oklahoma State, Michigan.
If Ohio State finds a way to play, you think Texas finds a way to play. Oklahoma...
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the teams in the top 10, they want to play because they want a shot at the title. It's weird. I'm not going to do the preseason All-Americans because there's going to be I think there's 23 total that are not going to play this year.
Okay.
So we're going to do the preseason All-SEC because we know for sure they're playing. So
hit us with some of the highlights there.
Well, the highlights as far as the teams with the most selections, you got Alabama and Georgia tied at 13.
No surprise there.
Florida with 11, so solid.
No surprise there.
And then you got Auburn and Texas A&M tied with 10.
Okay.
And Tennessee is tied with LSU and Kentucky with 9.
That's kind of a surprise, right?
No, not really. We got talent, man. We got some talent.
You think the Vols are ready to compete this year?
Absolutely.
I know last episode you talked them up quite a bit, predicted them beating Alabama.
If the quarterback plays there, we're going to have a good year.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of teams
I'm going
banking on quarterback play right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely they are. So I'm going to run down some I'm just going to talk about one. The first team offense is Jamie Newman. First team offense at quarterback is Jamie Newman at Georgia. And they got Trask in second team. Where do you feel like you're at with that, Ryan?
As a Vols fan, how do you feel about that one? Would you flip-flop those guys?
I would, because I'm going to put my football fan on, not just as an overall.
You would go with the proven guy as far as the guy that you at least saw something out of last year.
Well, Trask played in the SEC last year. Newman played in the ACC. I'm not trying to take anything away from the ACC, but for crying out loud, Newman's is not at Wake Forest. This is not Kansas anymore, buddy. You're coming into a meat grinder. Why would you put him at first team? I just don't get it. I would put
Obviously
Trask.
A lot of upside there, but again, we haven't seen what he brings to the table. Do you think Trask improves on what he did last year?
I think he regresses.
You think he's going to regress even with a full offseason under his belt? Even though this is going to be the weirdest offseason for anybody going in.
Nobody saw him coming last year. Now you've got a full tape on him and everything now. You know what his tendencies are.
He's kind of the traditional pocket passing guy. He's got athleticism, but it's hard to game plan for those guys where most of what you're seeing nowadays is that scrambler.
It is that scrambler. And another big hit on you guys on the first team defense, you do not have one Florida player that's not on the first team. What's up with that, man?
That'll change next year. It's just a lot of young guys.
I mean, wow. I mean, I was really shocked. I mean,
You'll see probably a few defensive backs on there.
that's what I'm
And an
saying.
edge rusher at least
As
next
far as,
year.
like,
but
the defensive
it's the way it
backfield?
goes. There's turnover in college football.
As far as the defensive backfield, I figure I at least see one Florida player on there, but there's none. I mean, maybe the turnover's there too.
They got to spread that love in the SEC.
I guess so. But Tennessee had a few. We only had one. We had Trey Smith, probably the biggest name coming out as far as the first team that made it. And then we also had the kicker, Brett. We had our kicker at Tennessee that made it. Camaglia, Brett Camaglia. How dare I? I love that name. But other than that, man, just nothing much. Just the quarterbacks one's one that surprised me the most. That was crazy. But let's switch over to the NFL, shall we, Ryan?
Let's do it.
All
Move on
right.
to the pros.
All right, and kind of starting on a little bit of a, I'm not going to say downer, but it's kind of concerning. Ron Rivera. He's one of my favorite coaches in the NFL.
Same.
Yeah, he's kind of like a military style. I like him. Has developed cancer in his lymph node.
He said he's going to keep coaching.
He is going to keep coaching. He's done mentioned he's going to keep coaching.
So hopefully they can get after that with some treatment. He'll be good to go. You know, technology's come a long way when it comes to cancer research and cancer treatment. So prayers up for Ron Rivera, and I hope that he gets to coach the entire season.
Absolutely. There is a plan B in place that they're saying Jack Del Rio could take over if things get rough for Rivera.
As far as plan Bs go, that's not a bad one.
That's not a bad one. I think Jack Del Rio
I like Jack Del
is
Rio.
one of the most underrated coaches. I mean, he had Jacksonville relevant there.
And that's saying a lot from Titans fans.
Oh, God. Do you realize how much that tasted? Oh, man, I need to go wash my mouth out, man. That's nasty.
I like Del Rio.
I do like Del Rio. I always had a sweet spot for Del Rio. He's a good guy. But Earl Thomas, let's talk about this cat.
Oh, man.
God, this guy it's a saga now.
There must be a lot more going on to
It
this
had to be,
than
man.
just that one spat. He's obviously – there's a lot of folks that act like maybe he's kind of douchey in the locker room. Maybe he rubs people the wrong way for whatever reason, but obviously had some tension in the locker room there with Earl Thomas there in Baltimore, and they just straight cut him.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's just they said they will release him for conduct detrimental to the team. He punched another safety. His name was Chuck Clark.
Okay.
I mean, you don't do that. And you mean you get in scuffles and fists.
But we see this happen, especially this time of the year.
Yeah, I mean, you can get chippy, but
There's more going on here.
I mean, he sucker punched the guy. They're saying he sucker punched the guy, but then after sending him home, his teammates went out there and just pretty much, he's not a good guy, man. He's not a good teammate, you know. They were trashing him. Majority of his teammates were trashing him.
Well, look, if you can't get along with those guys, especially there in the secondary too, what good are you? So they cut ties with him.
Man.
They're saying what Dallas is probably a front runner for him. I know there was a
Obviously,
lot
yeah.
of Titans fans on Twitter with a lot of jokes as far as that. Look, Titans looking to bring him in as a fullback
I saw that
because
I
of the
saw
Chris
it.
Henry or the the Derrick Henry thing from the playoff matchup this past postseason.
That was awesome.
Where he did absolutely own Earl Thomas on that run.
Well,
Spun
he made him
totally
eat his
around.
words. He made him eat his words. That was awesome.
He's his daddy.
Who's your daddy?
Who's your daddy, Earl Thomas? Derrick Henry.
Hey, careful. He might come across him soccer punch you now if you talk too much about
After
it.
these past couple of seasons, Derrick Henry's got a lot of kids across the league.
But it's just it'd be interesting to see where it's go. But it just makes me concerned. Like when he left Seattle, he kind of left on bad terms there too. You know, when he got did he have like a leg break or something that happened?
Yeah, and he was flipping off the sideline as he got carted
but
off.
I think it was management. Like they mishandled that deal. I
Well,
thought.
Legion of Boom was pretty much coming to an end at that point.
Right. But and then he goes to a good situation in Baltimore. They have a great and to me they have a good team, but he goes and messes up, you know, being a bad teammate.
Jerry Jones, as far as Dallas being a front runner to land him, he had originally had a quote that said something like, "Yeah, we're going to evaluate our positions, first and see if we have a need at safety," and then automatically it was like, "Newsflash, yeah, we're going to look at trying him out," Like Earl
It's-
Thomas isn't an upgrade over what you have as far as
that's a
defensive
major.
secondary in Dallas. And it's where he wanted to go. He had expressed some interest in going there, according to rumors in the past. If you're
yeah.
Dallas, do you look to bring in Earl Thomas?
I mean, he's a 7-time Pro Bowler, a 5-time All-Pro. This guy is still got it. I mean, he's still got gas in the tank. They need it. I think they need
I'm a
it.
big fan of Earl Thomas and always have been. That's why I'm real surprised to see him just let go as far as from Baltimore. So there must have been
There's something going on, yeah.
something going on there. But, I mean, if it's something that it's isolated and you can look to bring him in and he's going to be happier somewhere else, by all means, if you're one of these teams that needs a safety and you're not kicking the tires here, well, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Well, if Earl Thomas ever became a Titan, he wouldn't have to worry about Derrick Henry again. Can't beat him,
That
join him,
gives
right?
him a little bit of motivation to join the Titans, you would think.
Probably. But there's been a ton of injuries, man, happening. But it comes with the territory with training camp and everything.
Right.
It just rears its ugly head in. But, man, it's been running rampant. I mean, like Lamar Jackson had a scare with his groin. He's back. He's good.
A guy you want to protect, especially with a groin
Oh,
injury from
gosh.
such a mobile
Yeah.
guy.
Well, especially with preseason not happening this year, yeah, you're going to have to protect your guy a little bit more there.
For sure.
Tyreek Hill, same thing. He's got a hamstring injury. That's the same hamstring he injured last year. Not a good sign, man. That's why I'm telling you, Hardeman, fantasy listeners out there, Hardeman would be a good pickup.
Quick guy there out of Georgia.
Yeah, he's a quick one. And then Melvin Gordon, as I've said last week, struggling with the atmosphere, like the air quality in Denver. As far
Is
as
that
like,
what they're saying?
that's what they're saying.
I said he's got a rib injury right now. Huh?
And well, he had a rib injury today. I still think it's Phillip Lindsay's backfield to lose. I think he's a better back right now. As of right now, I'm not saying he's better than Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon's a good back. It's just
I've got Gordon in one of my keeper leagues. I'm not keeping him. I have 3 better talents, I feel like, than Gordon.
oh gosh,
and
come
I've kept
on.
Gordon the past couple of seasons, but I just don't really trust him in that backfield in Denver. I don't know that I can believe in it right
Are
now.
you talking the league that I'm in with you?
No, it's actually a different league, the
Okay.
League of Champions.
I was about to say in our league that you in, you've got McCaffrey and Henry. You could just probably
McCaffrey, Henry, and Mike Evans are going to
Yeah,
be my
you
keepers.
need to just X out one of your keepers, man.
We're still open for trades, Chuck.
Oh man, you're gonna gouge me.
We
if
got
I
a
do
draft
that.
coming up this weekend, so we'll get into some more fantasy talk here a little bit later on. Just to
Absolutely.
dabble into it a little bit because I'm
Oh,
getting
yeah.
fired up about fantasy
Oh,
sports.
absolutely.
Stuff outside of FanDuel, but I'm going to play plenty of that too.
Yeah, I've got Nick Chubb coming. I froze one of him. He's back off of concussion protocol. Thank goodness. I just hope this ain't a
I think he's in for a
trend.
big year.
He could. I hope he is. I mean, he's with a coach now that is very running back friendly with what that he had with. I mean, look at Dalvin Cook. He had a good career, good year last year. And then you also got Mike Williams had a shoulder injury. Of course, Brandon Jackson. He's a defensive end for Seattle. Got knocked unconscious, man. It was a brutal hit. He got knocked out, man. They had to stop practice. Josh Norman goes down with a hamstring injury. And then you got, I mean, Tyrell Williams, a key receiver
Oakland,
for
right?
with Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, my apologies.
God, we gotta get, man. I can still
Las Vegas Raiders.
come on, guys, come on. We gotta do this. This is Chucky's here talking. Yeah, come on, man. I'll tell you one thing,
We got
man.
John Gruden on the podcast.
Oh, man,
today.
I would love
Welcome
that,
on,
but-
Gruden.
Yeah, come on, man. We gotta do what we gotta do, man. But I love John Gruden.
Gruden, while I've got you here, look, I've got to ask you, how are you feeling about Carr right now, and how are you feeling about Mariota as far as in training camp right now, too? How are you leaning one way or the other? There is word that you may not be pleased with Carr.
Who's Kai, man? I tell you what, that kid out of Oregon right there, man, Tennessee did him wrong, but, man, he going to come into a good, valuable situation down here, man. Boy, man, that Hawaiian King down there, bruh, I think he's going to do very well.
Whichever quarterback, though, losing Williams, not a good start because they need
No.
all the help they can get at receiver.
They do. I think they do for the most part, but I still I think they still got some good talent around there, but that's a key deep threat right there you lost.
For sure.
And then, and bad news as well. Grant Delpit tore his Achilles in practice.
With the Browns?
Yeah, he's one of the top picks that the Browns took. He was a safety at LSU. one of the better defenders in the draft.
That's a rough injury, especially for a rookie.
Yeah, I mean,
That Achilles injury. Ugh.
yeah.
Speaking of safeties, though, there was a big-time contract that kind of came out of nowhere, at least to me today. Chuck, what do you know about the Cardinals making Budda Baker the highest-paid safety in NFL history?
I think it's Bubba.
Is it Bubba?
I think it's Bubba.
Let me fact-check it, Chuck. Tell us what you know.
Well, here's what I know so far. He will be the highest-paid safety in the league. And then that's saying a lot because I really don't know much about Bubba Baker. But I guess he plays well enough. I mean, I know in fantasy purposes, he's probably one of the best individual defender safeties as far as numbers go. But as far as being on Earl Thomas level or maybe even a Kevin Byard, he got a good contract. He got a 4-year, $59 million contract, $15 million yearly.
It is Budda Baker. Just to fact check it, that's just the Jackson County coming out, and you wanting to call him Bubba. You know?
All right, my bad. Chuckism of the night. Sorry, Budda.
Budda Baker, the highest paid safety in NFL history. But here's a little fun fact, too. I saw that Adam Schefter tweeted this out along with the announcement. So, yeah, again, $59 million contract extension. It's $14.75 million a year as far as that goes.
Right.
He has 323 tackles, right?
Yeah.
3.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, 14 pass deflections. As a safety, though, not one single interception. He's now the highest paid safety in league history.
That's a little weird.
It's pretty surprising.
I mean, Byard one year had 6 or 7 picks.
Oh, right. And then they had Deion Sanders didn't know who he was at one point. And they're like, all he knows how to do is catch interceptions. Look, Byard's a stud.
That dude.
We all know that now. He's actually getting recognition now. But Budda Baker, he's never had one interception. Pretty solid player, but he's now the highest paid safety. Teams are just printing money still, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's like I said, NFL is an empire, man. They might as well have their own bank. I mean,
a contract like that in the middle of a pandemic.
I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes.
I'm not saying he won't pay off as far as that goes. And Mahomes, man, he earned every bit of that. And they're paying to invest in the future of Mahomes there. Crazy. It's probably a crazy contract, but probably a pretty smart contract at the same time.
God, I mean, I hope he lives up to it. I mean, it's like I said, we're not here. We're just here on the podcast. But you got people out in Arizona that actually do their homework on them. And if he's really good, if he's worth that money, pay him. Pay him up. Pony up, as they say. Madden 21 came out today. I was reading some reviews today a little bit about it. I heard the quality is good. You got this X factors and stuff. Mm-hmm. And they said that's a cool quality they add. But I hear at the negative side that the franchise mode still sucks. There's nothing really additional to it.
Franchise mode, the key to that is having buddies play it with you too, I think.
Yeah.
That's part of it. That's where the fun comes in. When you have somebody you can play at least once a week with, right? Or you do the online franchise. I picked it up today. Today's the first day you could get it if you bought the deluxe versions.
Right.
You had to pre-order them. So I woke up this morning and I was like, oh yeah, Madden comes out today. So I did a pre-order instantly on Walmart.com, went right down the road, picked it up. And it was pretty convenient. They had, the new Walmart pickup thing where I went up, scanned the little barcode they sent me when it was ready, and I had to pick up some stuff anyways. And this isn't an ad for Walmart. This is just my experience this morning. The little lady comes up, checks my ID, gives me the game. Good to go. So I go home. I played twice, right? I played online, 2-0, humble brag. Not very high scoring games. The first guy quit at halftime. But they've added some new stuff. They've got a yard game mode, which is basically NFL Street. But it's you create a guy and you do that whole thing. I'm not going to delve into it. Honestly, it's one of the games that I buy every year, Madden and NBA 2K. Whether I get to play it a lot, we'll see. But the little bit I've played, the game seems to just run better, especially online. Not as much lagging and glitches. Yeah. It seems to play good as far as just the motion of your player and the way you can juke and jive in and out of there. And you see the players what I noticed mostly when you played with good players, I played with Christian McCaffrey in one game, is the way he lunges for first downs when you get close to him. It's pretty realistic. In the past, though, you'd hit the back of your offensive lineman or something, and you would fall backwards, and there's just not realistic motion where even if that happens here, he's going to be like, oh, shit, and he's going to spin and try to reach that ball across the goal line.
Right.
I mean, maybe unless you have somebody that's just not good at that kind of thing.
So I feel like the game is switching more towards online, which is obviously
like most games.
Well, yeah, it's that's where the money's at. I feel like they're more moving towards more of the money. To me, the Madden, NCAA football, all the football games on the game consoles, to me were like simulations, dream matchups. But I mean,
Speaking of simulations, right before we came, so just a little while earlier, I'm cooking some food, I'm smoking some meat. You came by, you had some ribs, right? How were they?
Oh, they were delicious.
Oh man, we won't get too deep into that. Good
Thank
stuff,
you, by
right?
the way.
Ooh, some good old barbecue ribs. But while I was cooking those, I'm on the computer and I'm checking some stuff out, and I ran a simulation in the background on my PlayStation through the season, and I just checked out one of the random things that I noticed. The Titans finished 3-13.
Shocker.
Oh man! According to the simulation, the first simulation I did, 3-13. They had the Colts finishing 13-3.
Man, it's just like anything. It's not just the critics; it's even the computer simulator that bashes the Titans.
That would make for a long season, right, Chuck?
Oh man, that's why it's called a simulation.
I don't see that happen. I think the Titans will build on what they did last year.
They
That's
should.
the homer in me. But again, I don't think the simulation necessarily gives it justice. They don't have the players, I don't think, necessarily rated accordingly yet, but they'll earn those ratings.
We talked about the ratings not too while back, and there were some I didn't agree with.
They had Isaiah Wilson, our first-round pick, rated in the 60s.
It was horrible.
Although he got in trouble recently for being at a party or something, right? Where
Knucklehead.
could have got COVID, could have ruined the season for some guys.
Yeah,
maybe for the league.
Knucklehead.
You got to be smart.
That's on the NFL. They've got to do something about it. I mean, we tell these players to be responsible. Isaiah Wilson is not in college anymore.
We've
This
already
ain't
seen one
Georgia.
rookie in Seattle lose his job. Now, the first-round pick, he's going to have a little bit of a longer rope, but be careful.
That rope could get tighter. Vrabel, man, he's not going to take that jazz.
They could shut you down for at least a year.
Yeah, it could shut you down. I mean, and you put your team at risk when you do that jazz.
Right.
I mean, that's why you don't see the NBA on the news doing that jazz too. Maybe you need to tighten up the bubble a little bit. I don't know, but it's just something's got to change. So we'll stick with the Titans here since you brought it up. Roger Saffold returned to practice. Not sure why he was missing practice, but as soon as I try to get on board with this guy, because I like him, I think he's one of the better guards in the league, but he's a douchebag, man. He's a real big jerk sometimes.
Whoa, I don't have anything against him. I don't know why he was out. I don't have any news on that. But
no, I'm talking about
as long as he's in camp, hey, man, I'm happy.
It's just like last year, when he was, pushing off the blame on everybody else but himself.
He had a rough start.
Yeah.
But he got it together. The left side of the line was dominant towards the end of the year.
At the end of the year, I shut my mouth because he balled out. And, and that's fine. That's fine. It's just, don't need to be missing too much unless there was a reason. And I'm sure there was. As being a professional as he is, sure, I hope. Jarrell Casey kind of had some harsh words. He said, the Titans' trash will be Denver's treasure.
That's true words. I mean, Jarrell Casey's still a stud as far as a defensive tackle or a D-end, however they play him in there. I'm still disappointed that we traded him for a 7th-round pick.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's heartbreaking. I figured there had to be something they could have worked out.
I think they're still chasing Clowney, and I think that's the reason they didn't originally bring him or Ryan back. But look, we don't have Clowney as of August 25th.
I don't think we'll have him, period.
I don't know.
It's just, dude, I feel like he's pulling everybody's
I'm done
chain.
speculating. I'm going into the season as if we don't have him. And
Exactly.
with that being said, disappointed that we don't have Jarrell Casey as well.
Absolutely. All right, Ryan, it's time for one of the main events, Bracket Busters. Are you ready to roll into it?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll do a quick preview of last week. We had the New York Giants and the New England Patriots beat the Atlanta New England Super Bowl 51 game. That was pretty cool. And then we had Texas and Texas Tech game in 2008 beat the 2012 Bama and Texas A&M matchup, the Johnny Football era game. And then you had the Music City Miracle beat out the Kick Six. And then you had Georgia and Bama national championship game in 2018 beat out the 2017 Bama and Clemson game. So we got those matchups ready, but we got the second part to go tonight. You ready to go?
I'm excited. Let's see how these things handled themselves as far as that goes.
All right. The first matchup on our slate, the 2007 Boise State Oklahoma game, which is known as the Fiesta Bowl, versus the season opener at the Big House with Michigan and Appalachian State, the upset heard around the world.
It's tough because when you think about these, you think most memorable game, and they're both pretty memorable. Now, definitely when it comes to excitement, I think Boise State, Oklahoma is the more memorable game here, at least according to me.
Well, yeah, you got more memorable plays.
Well, you had the Statue of Liberty, you had the hook and
ladder,
ladder, all that stuff.
The comeback.
It was the Cinderella story.
And nobody wants to talk about the comeback that Oklahoma did. They were down by like 3 touchdowns by halftime.
Right.
And that Adrian Peterson had a big run right at the beginning of the half.
Just a phenomenal game overall.
Oh, yeah. I mean, both teams balled out. It's just there was some trickery to finish it out. And then Ian Johnson proposes to his girlfriend at the end of the game. You cannot write that, man. It's something else.
Now, App State over Michigan, as far as greatest underdog stories of all time, greatest upsets of all time. But I think Boise State, Oklahoma, at least to me, would take this one. What about you, Chuck?
I'm stuck because I remember the Appalachian State Michigan game sent shockwaves throughout the entire college football because it dropped Michigan from 2 to unranked. That's never been seen.
May have started this decline that they can't seem to get out of.
Well, it started these FCS schools like, North Dakota States, and your Appalachian States, which are now D1. It started a trend that these FCS schools can play ball too, not only getting paid for blowouts.
You got to be you can't overlook anybody on those schedules.
Yeah. We got mocked by Georgia State, and they just got the D1 like 1 or 2 years ago.
I wasn't going to say it.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. We paid them $2 million to come kick our butts up there.
So you got to pick one, Chuck. Which one?
I'm going to pick Boise State and Oklahoma because I watched that.
We both agree on that one.
Yeah, the polls have Michigan and Appalachian State.
We disagree with the polls on this one.
I disagree with it because I saw play-for-play of Boise State and Oklahoma because I bet on Oklahoma to win. I lost. Horrible. Next one up. Super Bowl 34 versus Super Bowl 43. 2 great classic games. Super Bowl 34 was the Titans and St. Louis ones as Titans fans. Breaks our hearts to talk about.
Pretty memorable game.
Oh, man. That was Steve McNair's finest hour, man. The last 2 drives of that game by the Titans.
He showed his toughness. Just showed that he was the leader that we needed him to be, man. As if toughness and leadership were ever in question when it comes to Steve Mack. He definitely, if you wanted to just show anybody the type of player he was, show him that game.
Those last 2 drives that he had was incredible. Incredible. But Mike Jones. Name sound familiar?
Who?
Mike Jones. Yeah, the guy that tackled Kevin Dyson at the 1-yard line. And I thought he scored. It was
so close. I've probably mentioned it before, but I had to listen to that whole second half on the radio as we had just moved into a new house without cable.
Oh.
My parents are divorced, and my mom picked me up from the Super Bowl party. She had to pry me away from the Super Bowl party, mainly because the Titans were in the Super Bowl. And also, there was this bunch of shrimp rings and crawfish and stuff there. I remember that fondly as well. But anyways, we listened to the second half of that, and then to think about that final drive, listening to it on the radio, compared to even getting to watch it, I was nervous as hell.
Oh, man, I remember, just like I said, Steve McNair driving on that last drive, you could just feel it. It was building like, we're going to score and tie it. We're going to score and go to overtime.
And we've seen it over and over and over again.
It was just a great play by a no-name player.
That was the play of his career.
That everybody remembered Mike Jones by that. But, man, it was heartbreaking. My dad was cussing at the TV. But watching it now, yeah, It was a great play, just a yard short away from the Titans possibly getting a Super Bowl ring. But then we got Super Bowl 43, the Arizona Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Phenomenal game.
That was fun. Larry Fitzgerald did everything he could to get that. I mean, he scored on the last possession, not the last possession, but next to the last possession for Arizona to give them the lead with like a little bit over 2 minutes to go. I thought Arizona could win this, man.
Yeah, but even outside of Tennessee, Super Bowl 43 drew a bad matchup when they drew Super Bowl 34. Because I would imagine that you probably going to agree with the fan base here as far as when we go to the polls. I think Super Bowl 34 is the more memorable game and will advance.
I think so, too. 34 is going to have to advance because it's more memorable.
I mean, both great games. Both you're going to see on several of those lists, but how many times, honestly, have you seen that play where he stopped a yard short there, Dyson?
Not many. Only one in my lifetime so far, and that was that game.
No, but I mean, how many times have you seen that play replayed on TV on those countdowns?
Way too much, man.
Right.
Way
when it comes
too
to memorable,
much.
I think it wins hands down.
I'd rather just see it that one time and be done with it. All right, let's head on to the next game, the next matchup. The 06 Rose Bowl between Texas and USC, a.k.a. probably the greatest game ever played, Ryan, versus the 03 Fiesta Bowl, Miami, Ohio State, the PI game.
I go with the Vince Young and Texas winning over Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart,
what a game.
Lindale White, and all those guys. Hell of a game.
What a game.
Just a star-studded game when you look at that, too. But that game was tremendous all the way through, especially the comeback story there for Vince Young and just put the team on his back. Look, Miami, Ohio State, good game there, too, back in 03.
That was the rise of Jim Tressel,
True.
And knocked off a Miami team that was undefeated for almost 2 years, two-time national champs.
But no way you can touch that 06 Rose Bowl.
No. I'm going to say Texas USC.
Same here. What did the polls say?
Same thing. Oh, by a landslide. I think we had one vote for the Fiesta Bowl. It was like 94% Rose Bowl, 6% Fiesta. So we can say that was a sweep.
I think so.
So the last one, this is more for probably Titans fans because I feel like, for the most part. 03 Titans-Steelers wild card game. This was called Nedney's third chance because it literally took him 3 tries to finally win this thing.
Got it done, though.
And then you got the 06 Titans-Colts Week 13 game. The Rob Baronis kick, 60 yards for the win.
Rest in peace, Baronis.
Rest in peace.
Maybe one of his biggest moments of his career.
Probably the biggest. Has to be.
And for that reason, that makes that game maybe more memorable for me, even though 03 Titans-Steelers, there's a lot of those Titans-Steelers games that are very memorable to me, too.
They are.
But I feel like 03 doesn't even stand out, maybe even as far as top 3 in that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with the 06 one because how we played from behind that entire game.
Beat Peyton Manning and that team, how dominant they were with Harrison and Wayne out there.
Yeah, so, I watched the 03 one. It was a slobber knocker. That was probably one of the best Titans teams there we've had. But as far as dramatic, memorable, Rob Baronis, and that's what's like one of Rob Baronis' first moments as a Titans player that he became a beloved Titan was that kick.
I agree.
So I'm gonna have to say the 06 Titans Colts game.
That and his consistency. Baronis was straight money for a few
Oh man,
seasons.
he was so good. But that kick alone right there put him on the map as far as like Titan as a lovable Titan for sure.
So in summary, the winners today: Boise State, Oklahoma.
Right.
Super Bowl 34. Moving on. Also the 06 Rose Bowl. And the 06 regular season matchup, Week 13, Titans-Colts with the big Baronis boot, moving on to the next round.
Oh, man. Now we're done with the first round. You ready to go to the second round, the Elite Eight?
I'm in.
Oh, man.
I'm also excited about this next segment.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So tune in next week, folks, on the Bracket Busters. We're going to do round 2, but let's move on to the next one. We wanted to do this last week, but just ran out of time, but we're definitely doing it tonight. We've got another segment called Fantasy Drafters. So we basically do like a live draft here on our pod.
But it's fun topical stuff, right?
Yeah. It's not like an actual like fantasy football. This is like,
But it could be.
it could be. I mean, if we decide to grow a wild hair and do it, that's fine.
But today's topic, and you picked this one, you're excited about this one,
I
all
am.
football movie team. And so basically the
Yes.
rules are they just have to be, basically, it doesn't have to be a football movie, right? They just have to play a football player in a movie.
Right. I mean, this player as an individual.
Gotcha.
As you remember him as an individual, not as a necessarily a team movie, as the movie itself.
Right.
Like-
now, how do we decide who picks first here?
Pick a number. Well, rock,
Paper, scissors, best
shoot.
2 out of 3?
One. Let's just go for it.
Ready?
One,
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
You got it.
All right. Number 1 overall pick.
Who you got?
Ooh. And you've got the lineup here listed kind of like a fantasy lineup.
I do.
You have defenders, 2 defenders, a kicker, a tight end, 2 receivers, 2 running backs, a quarterback, and a coach as well. But when it comes to taking a look at who you want to draft here, I think it's a pretty easy number 1 overall pick.
Who you got?
When I pick Bobby Boucher to be my number 1 defender,
Wow.
going a little against the grain. But look, if I'm putting a fantasy
Bobby
lineup
Boucher.
together, Bobby Boucher, number 1 pick. Give me the water boy.
So you're gonna go with the Water Boy.
Remember the time Bobby tackled the referee by mistake?
Yeah, that was pretty funny. How about the time he tackled the guy from Louisville and threw him into the stands?
Y'all remember when he intercepted the ball and his pants fell off? And then he ran for the touchdown bare ass?
Luego de tan Bobby Boucher on the field, quarterback rojo y recibimos Bobby Boucher time.
Remember when Bobby Boucher showed up at halftime and the Mud Dogs won the Bourbon Bowl, Junior?
So Bobby Boucher. That's a good pick. I like that.
Bobby Boucher Jr.
Excuse me. We gotta go with Junior there.
He actually owns the NCAA record, right? 16 sacks back in the day against West Miss.
Yeah, something like that. It was like 16 tackles and I think like 10 sacks.
But not only does he bring just being an absolute stud as far as the defensive side, but he's also one hell of a water boy. And he's going to make sure that all of my guys stay well and hydrated, but he's also going to anchor the defense. I mean, he could pretty much single-handedly take care of that side of the ball. And I still have to pick one other defender as far as that goes. Good luck as far as if you're lining up against Bobby Boucher.
All right, I'm going to it's my turn. So, are we going to do a snake or just whatever? It don't matter, right?
We'll just go back and forth.
Just go back and forth. That's fine. I'm going to go quarterback. Shane Falco will be my number 1 pick. Yeah, so if you ever seen The Replacements, the Shane Falco, which was played by none other than Keanu Reeves.
I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational. But that just wouldn't be our style. Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
But man, I love that movie. I loved his character in it, man.
No complaint from me.
So
Big time pick here.
I'm already winning championships already with a scrappy dude. Bring on Bobby Boucher. I've got Shane Falco, buddy. All right, your turn.
Number 2 overall pick. I'm going to go ahead and get a target. A big time guy.
Ooh.
He kind of resembles Cuba Gooding Jr.
No.
Rod Tidwell. Give me
No.
Rod Tidwell, a guy who back in 95, 110 catches for 1,500 yards. Show me the money.
I am a role model, Jerry. I have a family to support. Hear me? I want to stay in Arizona. I want my new contract. But I like you. Yes, I like you, Jerry. My wife likes you. You're good to my wife. I will stay with you.
That's great. I'm very happy.
Are you listening?
Yes.
That's what I'm going to do for you. God bless you, Jerry. But this is what you're going to do for me. You listen? Jerry?
Yeah, what can I do for you, Rod? You just tell me, what can I do for you?
It's a very personal, very important thing. Hell, it's a family motto. Are you ready, Jerry? Jerry?
I'm ready.
Just want to make sure you're ready, brother. Here it is. Show me the money.
Well, he's going to show you the money with the team that you got him. Man, boy, I'm a little nervous because, I mean, you already got Bobby Boucher, and now you got Rod Tidwell. That's a solid group already.
I mean, you let Tidwell slip to me there. You went quarterback early. Obviously, Rod Tidwell could have easily been the number one pick. So, big-time upset. Boom! Ryan's team rolling with Rod Tidwell. Show me the money.
All right. What am I going to go here?
Do we need to mention Jerry Maguire? I think everybody knows the movie.
Yeah, Jerry Maguire. I think everybody knows. I think everybody knows the meme. Show me the money. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
So I'm gonna go running back.
Running back. Who you got?
Earl Meggett.
Oh, big pick. He was number 3 on my draft board.
So I'm gonna go Earl Meggett at number 2 for me. If you don't know who that is, that's the. Nelly played him off The Longest Yard, the new one with Adam Sandler in it.
He's so damn fast he ran out of his shoes.
Ooh.
As one guy said, quote, he's so fast he makes people that are fast look not so fast.
I love that, man.
Big time pick. No complaints out of me there.
It's cool, bro. I grew up with no shoes. I'll be all right for now. I like that. I love that movie. That was so good. All right, your turn.
I'm going to go ahead and keep this train rolling, and I can't believe this guy's here. Listed as an athlete. We only really seen what he did when he played at Alabama.
Oh, no. Are you serious? You going to do it?
As a kick returner. He's going to play running back for me as well as athlete. He could probably go out and run a couple of deep slants too. Give me Forrest Gump.
Wow.
Out of Alabama.
Congratulations. How do you feel?
I got it, pig.
I believe he said he had to go pee.
Dude just keeps on running.
Dude, man, are you serious? I mean, you're going to have a stop sign on every end zone, though, man. As quick as you got. Man, I like what you got so far. I mean, Rod Tidwell and Forrest Gump, 2 speedsters. Man. Slow down now.
Forrest Gump, from the movie, named after him.
All right.
An absolute stud who played for Bear Bryant down there at Alabama. Bring on Forrest Gump.
All right. I'm going to keep it with the Mean Machine off The Longest Yard. I'm going to go Skwitowski.
Oh, okay. Your first
defender.
First defender, Swiatowski, playing the D tackle, I guess, there.
Yeah, well, I can put him at end if I want to, man. He's a refrigerator, man. What an unstoppable force right there.
He's a hoss. No, I mean, that's a big body right there.
That is a big body. I loved him. I mean, he doesn't know when to stop, man, but will you teach me to play football? Absolutely. So he's coming to my team. We'll go with Skwitowski on my 3rd pick. Who you got on your 4th pick?
Oh, man. So they just keep falling here. I'm going to go with a big-time player here. Going to play the wide receiver spot. We're going to stick with the same movie, The Longest Yard. Give me Deacon Moss.
Oh, wow. I forgot about old Deke.
Give me Deacon Moss, big Michael Irvin. Because how can you beat that? You know how dominant Michael Irvin was. You saw how dominant Deacon Moss was. You saw what happened to Paul Crewe, the way he had to recruit him with a game of dirty street basketball. I like that grit. Bring on Deacon Moss.
Man, what a tandem at receiver, man.
Rod Tidwell or Deacon Moss? Who are you going to guard?
I can figure it out. I think on my pick, let's go with Clifford Franklin out of the Washington Sentinels in the replacements.
Okay, nice little pick.
He's fast. He may not have good hands, but, man, that dude is fast. I will go Clifford Franklin, who was played by Orlando Jones. If you've never seen the movie, please watch it. It is so, so good.
We really just began to, scratch the surface of the talent of Clifford Franklin. Clifford Franklin had moves even Clifford Franklin ain't seen yet.
Right. Well, you did show us a few of those moves today against Phoenix, but it could be a different story against Dallas next week.
Oh, that's really the same story, different chapter, girl. You see, the football is like a one-man cold to Clifford Franklin. Clifford Franklin only one catching it. Clifford Franklin only one coming down with it. Ole, 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 ole. Hey, cheers, babes.
Franklin will be coming to my team. Welcome to the team, buddy. Who you got at number 5?
I'm going to keep this run going. I need a tight end here.
I knew you couldn't resist my shake. I got the shakes that'll make you quake. I got the fries that'll cross your eyes. I got the burgers that'll... I just got burgers.
No.
I need a tight end. And I like to keep chemistry together. Give me Cheeseburger Eddie, the longest yard. It ain't easy being cheesy. I need a guy that's going to be able to supply the team with their nutrients. I've got Cheeseburger Eddie coming in with the proteins. I've got the water boy there on the sideline. Cheeseburger Eddie, he's today's tight end, too, as far as that goes. A guy who's big, buff dude. You know, you've seen what those pecs can do in the Old Spice commercials with Terry Crews. But this dude's going to go out there. He can play wide receiver. He can play tight end. For me, he's playing tight end. Maybe that athlete role.
Well, I mean,
Terry
Crews really played football, though, in the NFL. So you got a real legit NFL player there.
Legit.
So there you go. All right. Who am I going to go with?
Tough one.
It's a tough one.
Who you gonna get to match this team?
Here we go. I think I've got it right here. Let's go with Julian Washington, LL Cool J's character from Any Given Sunday.
Solid little running back.
Yes. So I've already got 2 studs at running back, man. I'm going to be running hard all day. So you're not going to get time to pass the football because I'm going to be ground and pound the entire time, man. So I'm going to go Julian Washington as my next pick. All right. Who you got at number 6?
All right, I like it. So I'm going to stay there. I'm going to also go get a running back here. I wish there was a flex position because there's a guy that's fallen to me on my draft board, but you know what? I'm not going to go that route. I need to fill my running back spot. And here I may be drafting a little early, but I'm going to get Guard Dunham. Stone Cold Steve Austin from the longest yard. I've got a lot of longest yard, and that's unintentional on this team, but you snagged up the running backs regardless. I want somebody that can go out there and throw the stunner on somebody on the sidelines after the play. Guard Dunham coming on down.
That's why a white man runs a football. So, yeah, that's a good one there. I was kind of keeping my eye on him a little bit, but it was either Washington or Guard Dunham. So, good pick. All right, so, I got to think about this. Oh, man, I'm stuck between 2. All right, I'm gonna go for it. Well, let's do it. Charlie Tweeter from Varsity Blues.
Oh,
I love old Tweeter, man. Gotta get some Tweeter love. Because if you broke my heart, then I broke your jaw, man. I gotta have the man. Tweeter.
I like it.
So he's gonna be my next pick.
I got one. I'm going to go off the rails on you a little bit here.
Oh no, what we got?
Have you ever heard of David Dunn?
David Dunn.
He played a football player, little role. You may throw it on the Google machine. David Dunn. Unbreakable, the movie. This is Bruce Willis's character.
Oh, yeah.
He's basically a superhero. He could play any position.
Okay.
I'm going to throw him in there as defender. He's my number 2 defensive guy, but he could also play quarterback. He could play running back. He's got power. I mean, all you got to do, take a quick look at the player profile for David Dunn, and he could easily be the number 1 overall pick in this draft.
Okay,
I was banking that he wasn't on your draft board, and he slipped, and I just needed him to wait until I had a position I needed to fill. What do you see on that scouting report there, Chuck?
Man.
Bruce Willis coming in there big with a character. I'm going to have to rewatch this one because it's been a while.
That is
Unbreakable. But, I mean, dude has superpowers, right? He's got super strength.
Dude, that's a cheat code, man.
Cheat code. Go ahead and bring on David Dunn.
All right, so David Dunn is going to where now?
He's my second defender.
So he's your second defender.
Who's also going to be kind of playing both sides of the ball at times.
All right, so you've kind of shook me here because you kind of scared me with Dunn.
I was banking on that.
Oh, you shook me. So I'm going to have to pull out a big one here. I'm going to go with Becky Icebox O'Shea from Little Giants.
Okay, I like it.
Man, she may be a cheerleader, man, but man, I think I'm going to go Gruden on this. Man, she goes out there and gets it done, man. They call her the Icebox for the reason, man. So I'm going to go Becky Icebox O'Shea.
I like it. Okay, so my next pick, I need to go ahead and take my quarterback, I think.
I've been dying to see who you get in quarterback.
I kind of wanted to go Sunshine here. Remember the Titans, but I'm not going to do it.
That's a good one.
Give me Steamin' Willie Beeman. Give me Jamie Foxx, baby.
That's
Bring
a good
him
one.
on down. He's going to play quarterback. I don't know how it gets any better than that. I was able to wait this long to take him because you took quarterback first thing. I'll take it all day. Steamin' Willie Beeman, quarterback.
Okay. So you're going to go with Willie Beeman. Very good pick. Oh, gosh. What do I need? I got to look, man. Let's see. I've got my 2 defenders. Got my 2 receivers, 2 running backs.
You know who we could have went for on receiver, who I had on my list?
Who you got?
Air Bud. Just some notable mentions since we've already filled our rosters. Air Bud. Think about that, man. Dude's a stud.
Yeah, I got to go tight end. You know what?
A
Tight
thoroughbred.
end. I'm going tight end. I'm going to go Air Bud at tight end.
You can go Air Bud at tight end over Brian Murphy from the Replacements?
Sorry, man.
Brian Murphy was number 7 on my draft board, but I reached and got Cheeseburger.
I see you got Cheeseburger. I'll go
Air Bud. A little bit of a size mismatch. He's not going to do anything in the realm of blocking for you. But as far as catching some balls, Air Bud can get it done.
I'll go Air Bud. That's a good
We'll
one.
allow it, Chuck, just because,
Yeah,
to be
man.
honest, your team's not stacking up a mine.
Man, we'll let the polls decide, man. All right, we got kicker and coach remaining.
Kicker and coach. So I'm going to go ahead and get my kicker here, and I'll explain my rationale going in. So
Okay.
looking at my team, they're not going to be kicking many field goals, let's be honest. And why not? Since I have Bobby Boucher and unbreakable David Dunn playing defense anyways, I'm going to onside kick it every damn time. You know where I'm going with this, Chuck.
Oh,
I've already got a team full of mean machine as it is. I'm bringing in a guy who could also play backup quarterback if I would, wanted somebody that wouldn't hit a damn soul out there as far as with a pass.
are you talking about the guy that shows a little wrestling move every now and
I'm
again?
bringing in Brucey as an athlete who's going to
Brucey,
mainly be my
Brucey.
starting kicker. He's an onside kick specialist, also a guy that can show you a good old wrestling move every once in a while, right? Just keep him away from the cheerleaders.
Hey. Oh, man.
Brucey, why can't I be quarterback?
Hey, I'm speechless, man. What a move.
Brucey,
I'm
pick of the
gonna-
draft.
I'm going to pick my coach. I'll go ahead and get my coach because sometimes you got to get the coach.
Okay, who you got?
Oh, man, let me think about it because there's some good ones out there, man. I really enjoyed. Oh, man, who do I want to get? I'm stuck between 2 of them.
Who we got? It's your pick. You're on the clock.
Tony Damani, head coach of Any Given Sunday, Al Pacino character. It was between him and Coach Klein.
Oh, that's tough.
I got to go with Damani.
Wait. We're not looking at Coach Boone here either.
That is true, but Damani, man, Al Pacino playing him, man, was so much fun to watch. He gave probably the best speech in all of football movies, man. That was awesome. So I'm going to go Damani here. We'll go Tony Damani. So that's my coach.
All right. I got to pick a coach here, and I'm going to go ahead and pick a coach. The talent level on this team, all they need is a little somebody to give them a good kick in the ass every once in a while.
you
Get them
got?
headed in the right direction.
Who we got?
Give me an underrated guy, maybe an under-the-radar guy, Coach Rick Weiss.
Rick Weiss.
Give him. Bring on Rick Weiss.
Get some.
He's going to hit him right over the head with a steel chair just when they need it.
I forgot about good old Rick Weiss, man. That's a good one. I love it. I love it. What a move. Kicker. I always save my kickers for last when I'm doing fantasy drafting anywhere. I'm going to go Nigel Gruff from the Replacements.
Nigel Gruff, not a bad selection. You're going him over Derek Wallace, who was actually who I was considering if I didn't go Brucey, or if you went Brucey. He was the kicker and punter for the Mud Dogs.
I wouldn't go. I was either him or the Van Pelt kid from If It's Your First Kiss, Charlie Brown. Lucy Van Pelt.
Solid. I think you made the right pick there.
I did. But, man, what a fantasy draft there.
So let's run through these, and then you'll put these out on social media. See who can vote. Let them vote which team they would prefer to have going into the fantasy season.
You got solid
based on
team.
these guys. So let's go ahead and go position by position and just review these. So, Chuck, Coach, who's your coach again?
Tony D'Amato, man. I got Al Pacino's character, man. I got to get
Any
him.
given Sunday.
Yes. Who's your coach?
Coach Rick Weiss.
What a move. What a move. My quarterback is Shane Falco. Clutch. Ice water in his veins.
He's going to be lining up against Steamin' Willie Beeman on the other sideline.
Bring him
coming out
on.
there ready to let this offensive juggernaut get going.
That's right. All right. Running back. Who you got?
Running back, Forrest Gump. My backup, Guard Dunham, who's also one hell of a fullback.
There you go.
As if Forrest Gump really even needs it. He's probably going to be outrunning that block to begin with.
Well, I've got the best 1-2 punch out of probably anybody. Earl Meggett and Julian Washington, man.
That is solid. Earl Maggett's
Smash
so
and
damn
dash,
fast
baby.
he run right out of his shoes.
Lightning and thunder, smash and dash, bam.
I do like that. That is a strength of your team. It's running back for sure.
All right, run for receiver for me.
Who is Shane Falco's targets out there? Who's he going to be tossing that ball to?
Oh, his favorite target, man, Clifford Franklin, will be out there waiting for him to catch the balls if he needs a little glue in his hand. But nobody can catch him, though. That's the thing. And then the partier himself, Charlie Tweeta, baby.
Oh, my goodness. Do you think those guys are going to stand up, though? When you look at my receivers here, maybe the two greatest movie receivers of all time, Rod Tidwell, Deacon Moss.
That's pretty solid, man. You stole
Show
one.
me the money.
Yeah, you stole one of my picks. I wanted Tidwell. I kept my eye on him, but man, you rip out my heart in the second pick,
Not
man.
only to mention that, but then you take an athlete like Cheeseburger Eddie at tight end.
Air Bud, man.
It ain't easy being cheesy. You're welcome for that Air Bud pick, too. I know he wasn't on the draft board.
Hey, he wasn't on my draft board, but when I heard that, I was like, you know what? I need a receiving
Little Bill
tight end.
Belichick type stealing action going on.
Hey,
there, but I don't blame you.
I need an extra receiver, man, to give advantage over the stud receivers you have. I feel like Cheeseburger Eddie is no match for Air Bud as far as when it comes to catching.
Right. Kicker now. Who was your kicker?
That was Nigel Gruff from the
Nigel
Replace.
Gruff.
The one that smokes the cigarette and kicks a 60-yarder no problem.
Ooh. And then I'm bringing the wrestling moves and the onside kicks with Brucey from the longest yard.
Ole, 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 ole. You can't beat that.
You can't. And then defense here. This was where I really had fun with it. And I think, again, how do you stack up with these two guys? Bobby Boucher Jr., the water boy out here playing foosball and wetting his bed all season long. With David Dunn lining up beside him. Unbreakable as hell.
I tell you what, man. Bobby Boucher likes to watch them boobies, too.
She showed me her boobies, and I loved them, too.
Solid defense right there. I got the Bane, refrigerator man himself, Squatowski, man. And then I also got Mrs. O'Shea, the icebox herself.
I'd hate to be Swatowski lining up across from Forrest Gump when he braked his nose.
He broke my nose. Gosh, what a lineup, man.
I love it.
What a lineup. Man, and speaking of fantasy, you got some fantasy points we need to talk about tonight.
Well, I mean, we're coming up on fantasy football. So, I mean, it's important to talk about it a little bit.
Right.
I mean, when you look at it, we're going into, with your league, I'm in one of your leagues, you're in one of my leagues. Mine's a 3-keeper league. We're going to be going into that draft this weekend. I believe the following weekend, the following Monday, following the following weekend, we're doing your draft, full redraft league, right?
Yeah, it's full clean slate.
So when we look at full redraft, I know I picked towards the end of that draft. So when it comes to top guys, I'm not going to have a huge say as far as who I'm picking in that. But when we just look at top 5 guys that you expect to excel this year. If you had your pick of the litter, what 5 guys would you go with? And you can lump running backs together, receivers together, whatever. But what 5 guys are you looking at? And you can go against the grain, or you can go with just what the industry's saying.
So you're saying top 5 guys I would pick in the first round?
Yeah, as far as that goes, who do you really think is going to have a breakout year this year, regardless of what the experts are saying?
Guaranteed it's going to be, well, number one's going to have to be McCaffrey, man.
McCaffrey all day.
It's got to be. I mean, I'd be a fool if I didn't say that.
We're going to come to an agreement on these top 5. So McCaffrey's obviously number 1,
obviously
right?
number 1. Kamara's going to be a very viable man.
Do you put him at 2, or do you put him ahead of Barkley and Elliott as far as that goes?
Yes, I put him at number 2.
Maybe even ahead of Cook, Derrick Henry?
I'm going to put him ahead of the King, too. It's just Kamara, man, he makes that offense go for the Saints, and I feel like they're going to have to depend on him a little bit more this year because we don't know how much truly Breeze has in the tank.
I think 2 could either be Elliott or Kamara here. I like the offense that both of those guys are on better than I do with Barkley.
Right.
When it comes to overall talent, though, Barkley is an absolute stud that could hit he could hit a home run at any given play. But I think I am somewhat in agreement with you that Kamara definitely belongs in that 5.
Yes.
As well as if we're just looking at running backs, though, because it's easier to probably do that. Say our top 5 running backs.
Well,
top 5
running backs are going to
We'll
go.
just look at those position groups.
Yeah.
Because you have the top 5 picks could very well be running backs. But now let me ask you this: I think we can agree top 4 running backs: McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, Kamara, in any given order. McCaffrey obviously at the top of that list.
I would put Henry in there, man.
Would you put Henry in there, or would you put in Dalvin Cook?
I put Henry in there, man.
Agreed. 100%.
I put Henry.
And I even maybe put him up at the 3 or 4 position, depending. As far as my trust with the guy, I have him as a keeper in one league. I would certainly draft him. I'm a bit of a homer when it comes to that, but we've seen what this man's capable of doing.
He's done it the last 2 years. I think it's time to really take him serious as a top 5.
I think I agree with you there, too.
You got to. So receivers, it's a little more broad because there's a lot more studs out there.
Who's your top receiver? If you could go out there and have any receiver this year, who do you want?
Julio Jones.
Julio Jones?
He's got to go number 1. He's got to be the top receiver in the draft.
You trust what Matt Ryan and the Atlanta offense is going to be doing this year?
Absolutely, because they're going to be trailing a lot. So who are they going to be throwing to a lot? Julio Jones. I think Calvin Ridley could be a top 10 receiver by the end of this year. I think we're going to see a lot of passing, man.
We talked about Madden a little bit earlier, too. One of the top-rated guys on there, 99, is Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
Obviously you've seen with the production and the chemistry he has with Breeze, he's obviously in that top 5, you would think.
He's in my number 2.
He's your number 2. So I like Devontae Adams at number 1.
Ooh.
Okay. I think that we're going to see some good things out of Green Bay, and if we do, that combination has to work, right? Rodgers to Adams, and I would trust Adams as far as that goes. Now, when you look at Ringer did a big ranking, and I like looking at their site sometimes where they did a auction draft as far as values. They valued him at $45 compared to Michael Thomas, their top guy, at $49. But I would take Adams over Thomas this year. Would you?
I would probably, because here's the thing: there's really no other targets. Yeah, it's going to be more viable for double teams, but he could be up for more catches and more targets this year, man.
So we agree those 3 are in that top 5, right?
They have to be, yes.
So Julio, Devontae, Michael Thomas, that's pretty easy, right, as far as that goes.
That's easy.
But when it comes to the next 2 in that top 5, that's where it gets a little touchy. Who do we think that's going to be? When it comes to fantasy points, I think Mike Evans belongs in the discussion, but I think we look at either Mike Evans, Odell Beckham. Juju could very well be up there with Big Ben coming back.
You're forgetting DeAndre Hopkins, man.
Lots of guys. And now he's playing, though, with a second-year quarterback. We expect to take a little bit of a step back.
I don't see it, man. I see it just lighting it up, man, because before Watson got there in Houston, he was catching passes from Savage and stuff. He made Savage look like a star. You remember Ben Savage down there in Houston at one point?
Right. Yeah.
So, I got DeAndre Hopkins in my top 5.
DeAndre Hopkins, he's played with a lot of bum quarterbacks down there in Houston.
And he makes them look good.
He does. And I don't think he could easily belong in the top 5. As far as this year fantasy football, I don't know if I could throw him in there over some of these other guys like Tyreek Hill, even Adam Thielen. That's a tough as far as negotiation for me. How do you feel about Amari Cooper? Him and Dak Prescott?
I don't know.
Shown some good things. They have the rookie. They also have Galladay down there. Who do you trust as far as when it comes to your top 5? We agreed on those top 3. Thomas, Adams, Julio Jones. How do you fill out your top 5? Who are those other 2 guys for you?
DeAndre Hopkins at number 4, and I think Odell Beckham Jr. will stay at 5.
Odell Beckham Jr. at 5. I think Cleveland could have a big year, and he's definitely going to be a big part of that.
Yes.
I think if I filled out mine, we'd go Devontae Adams, Julio Jones, Michael Thomas at number 3. Now, Tyreek Hill means a ton to Kansas City.
He does.
He's been a little bit shaken up. I would regularly have him in this top 5, but just looking at this season ahead, I think I throw Mike Evans in there at number 4.
Ooh.
And Amari Cooper in there at number 5.
He's sharing catches with Godwin, though.
Regardless, he's got Tom Brady coming there. There's going to be plenty to distribute around. You saw what they did last year with a quarterback who had LASIK surgery in the offseason. I think Mike Evans could be poised for a huge year. You saw how good he made Johnny Manziel look in college, too.
Yeah, he did make some ridiculous catches, like, pull the rabbit out of a hat catch, man. It's a magic trick almost. But I wouldn't necessarily put Evans in the top 5. He's top 10, but not top 5.
I don't think any of us are keeping quarterbacks. Now, some that you could, depending on how your team looks. I know there's a team in my ESPN league where Dak Prescott's going to have to be kept just because the roster is depleted. But I'm not keeping any. Some that I would consider would be maybe Russell Wilson, obviously Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes of the world.
Yeah, those 3 probably the only ones.
But when we look at so I know we don't normally draft quarterbacks very high. This year and going forward, I may consider it, like maybe not my number 1 pick, but depending on the value and where I can get them, who's the quarterback out there that you're going after this year?
I'm doing some research, and I'm seeing all signs are pointing for Baker Mayfield to have a big rebound, man.
You're feeling the Browns up there, huh?
Well, it's just, when we're talking about it, I kind of read up on it too, and I'm just like, Baker.
So you can get Baker at the end of the draft, clearly.
That's what I'm saying. I can wait. Because, like I said.
You don't have higher expectations, though? That's your number 1 quarterback. If you could pick of any of them.
No.
If you're looking obviously strategically,
Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, you would pick those given the opportunity.
I'm
strategically, like who's the guy that you want this year that you think will fit your draft strategy?
Oh, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers at number 2.
Okay,
because he's still putting up points.
Not that Baker wouldn't be a good option. I like Baker. I just don't know that he'd be my number 1 QB. He could be a QB 2,
right?
At least starting the season.
And I've got maybe Lamar Jackson at 3. He's an iffy 3. It's between him and Drew Brees at 3 and 4. But either one would work for me. And then at 5, maybe Baker at 5. I'm going to put Baker at 5.
Baker at 5.
Yeah,
I think when it comes to top 5 quarterbacks, there's however you want to rate them, Mahomes, Jackson, Russell Wilson, it could be 1, 2, or 3 here because I think he is so valuable to the way that team plays up there. And I love having Russell Wilson on my team because, there's going to be a frustrating game or two, but for the most part, he's going to make up for his numbers somewhere in that game. He's going to find a way to throw 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter if he needs to.
Right. I kind of hope it don't come back on me for not putting Russell Wilson in that top 5.
He belongs there.
He does. But as far as like fantasy, I've never really had Russell Wilson on my team.
Oh, man, I shoot for him any chance I get. And to round out my top 5, I would have Aaron Rodgers in there at number 4. Number 5, Drew Brees, because I don't think you can keep him. You can't exclude Brees just yet. He's got a solid team to work with.
He's still got, like you said, he's still got the firepower to work with. I mean, he's not at that dominance that he was at 5-6 years ago.
He was the quarterback that just won me the championship in my ESPN league this year.
There you go.
I've only won the championship in that league twice. Both years, Drew Brees led the way.
But when you have a guy like Michael Thomas that can catch you 10 to 12 catches a game, yeah, it can. I mean, it makes the quarterback look good too as far as fantasy purposes go.
And it's wild to see him when he throws it to Taysom Hill sometimes too, the way they utilize him.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty cool.
I expect a bigger role out of him this year after they, basically took care of their backup quarterback needs. Right. Went out there and got Winston.
They did. So I've been mock drafting a lot here lately.
I never do the mock draft.
I do. I love doing it. I was doing it today. Like, I practice for my league. I can't really practice for yours because you can't really do keeper mock draft. It's kind of hard.
Well, you know what the pool will be when you know what all the keepers are, which you can
Well,
assume
yeah,
on
yeah.
most of the teams in that league.
Yeah, because you got to project who's going to get kept and stuff, and you can't. So I more practice for the, like, you know, from you know, the clean slate drafts.
Gotcha.
So I like to practice because I like to keep sharp and, you know, see how the pool is set up in the draft. That's the key. Is how the pool is set up.
Yeah. I enjoy the process. Like, I enjoy the draft. I feel like I'm pretty good at it typically as far as assessing my need and the value of the round that I get it. So a lot of times I just like to have a full, like, draft board to work off of as far as who I want, depending on not really worried about how the pre-draft rankings look other than obviously knowing some of the info. Like,
And plus,
who's going to get the starts and this as far as that goes, who's going to get the carries. But I like to just go in I don't think the mock drafts do me any good, really, because my team never reflects what those mock drafts show me. But I could see where they'd be valuable for some folks. I'm just happy to be getting into fantasy football.
Well, plus you can practice your risk. Like, if you want to practice, like, pulling a risk out, like reaching for a player, you can in the mock draft.
And see how it throws the rest of the draft.
Yeah, see, and there's, like, projections at the end of the draft that show you how you fare with the other drafters and stuff. I mean, I'm right now in the middle of the road because I'm still trying to figure out a good my way around the draft, because in my family league, I'm going to be dead last in picking because the champion picks the order and I've ticked off the champ. So, and then in my league that I'm in, that I do with you, I'll be fifth, and then in your league that I joined you with, what was it, fifth as well, fifth or sixth?
Yeah, you're right in the middle.
I love it. That's where I want to be, right in the middle of the pack. That is the most perfect place to be, in my opinion.
If you had to throw out a flex pick here, just a random kind of under the radar sleeper guy, a guy that you're not going to reach for, but if he's there in the later rounds, you're real excited you landed him. Who is that guy this year for you?
Devin Singletary, man, has just not been high on everybody's board because of
Buffalo running back.
Yeah, because of Zach Moss up there, because the Zach Moss hype train's picking up. But, dude, Devin Singletary is a good back, and I think he could do enough to push you to a championship. That's one guy I'd look at. A.J. Brown, you know, he may be high, but there's a lot of receivers out there that you can get in the second, third round. So by the time
You mean A.J. Green?
A.J. Brown. Our Titans A.J. Brown.
That's true. Okay, I'm not even thinking in that
facet. A.J. Brown,
I agree. He's a young stud making his way up there. I guess that just shows you, I assume, that I'm not usually drafting a Titans receiver most years, but that's not true this year.
No, this year, he can actually be a good receiver too, even flex receiver for you.
Okay, I like it.
It's
I don't think he's under too many radars because
no.
I think there's a lot of people that are starting to recognize like he could make some noise.
He's a talent. He's a heck of a talent. He's probably the best talented receiver we've had.
Do you think Corey Davis does anything to up his fantasy numbers this year?
Not enough to be a flex.
No, I don't either.
Not enough to be a flex. Another good flex, I'm going to go with a tight end here. Hayden Hurst in Atlanta.
Could be nice.
That is a good one there because
Hooper's out, so he's getting
Hooper's
full
out.
reign there.
Hayden Hurst is in. You know, Matt Ryan loves his safety valve tight ends there.
When Hooper's with Cleveland now, I believe, right?
Man, I think he might be a bust. Maybe.
I don't know. Him and Njoku up there. That's a nice
That's
little
what I'm saying. You're
1-2 punch at tight
sharing
end.
with not only sharing with Njoku, you're going to have to share the ball with Landry and Odell Beckham.
It's a good thing to have plenty of weapons, though, for
but
a
it's
young quarterback.
Too much for fantasy, man.
Maybe. That's a good point.
It's too much for fantasy.
I think one of my guys, if you stay in the AFC South, and I don't like to give a ton of credit, but I don't think that a lot of people are going to be real high on Brandon Cooks this year with Houston.
That's a solid play.
And Deshaun Watson is a solid player, and if I can get him, maybe round 5, round 6, I'm ecstatic.
Well, here's the thing, too. Will Fuller can't be trusted.
I don't know that he'll last that long regardless, because I think Brandon Cooks will be drafted higher than that. But if he slips a little bit, and I think he could, Brandon Cooks could be a get out there as far as that. Isn't on the top of people's draft board.
That's a solid pick. David Johnson is another one that I've been high on him lately. I think he's a good flex running back to be.
What about Emmanuel Sanders in New Orleans? I forget that he's even in New Orleans.
Yeah, sure. I'll buy it. I mean, if he's there later rounds for me, yeah, I'll take a shot. Why not? Another good one that I could think is Samuel out in San Francisco. I forget his first name.
Debo?
Yeah, Debo Samuel. I mean, he's kind of like that, all-purpose receiver. He can run the football. He can catch. That's a good one. That'd be a good, it's kind of like a true flex player. That's a good one. So
for sure. So we're set as far as with our movie fantasy teams. We're about to get set on our fantasy football teams going forward.
Yes.
I've been enjoying getting on some FanDuel and tearing that up. I've not had a big winning streak to speak of recently there or with my parlays, but I'm getting close.
You're getting close.
I'm getting close on
You're
a lot of those.
warming up,
I'm just
man.
enjoying. Yeah, man. We're just kind of getting
up.
loose, getting ready for the NFL season.
You got to get practice.
Oh, man. I know that's right.
COVID has took a lot out of you, man. You just got to loosen up.
I'm loose.
Got to loosen up.
Chuck, in closing, what do you got for us today, man?
All right, in closing, like I said earlier, thank you for all the followers that we do have, and thank you for all the people that listen on YouTube. If you want to get a hold of us, man, we're on Facebook. Get a hold of our page. Me and Ryan are always on it.
We're starting to get a little traction there. Make sure to get on YouTube, subscribe, throw us some comments. Make sure to vote on this stuff. Chuck's getting these polls out here. He's been great about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keep those rolling in, right?
I don't have a Twitter account. I'm still blocked. I'm probably going to have to make a new one. So if you got anything on Twitter, get with Ryan. He can help you.
At RC Smith 23. Chuck, you're going to get a new Twitter account if you can't get your other one unlocked.
It's been like a month and a half. I think I'm done at this point. I think I'm just going to make me another
Twitter jail.
I'm in Twitter prison. I think I'm on death row right now. But guys, the people I've talked to that actually do listen to it really enjoy the material. I really thank I really thank everyone that do listen in. Really do appreciate it. Like Ryan said, I'll get them polls out there for round 2 of Bracket Busters, our fantasy drafter team, see which one had the better team, which is me, if I have to do a little campaign in there. But we sure do appreciate you listening in today. Ryan, I really ain't got much else to close on, man. What you got? You got anything you want to close on?
Good stuff, Chuck. We've covered a lot of territory here, and I look forward to covering more next week as we'll have plenty more to talk about as we get closer to the NFL season starting. Again, I'm excited, man.
Yes.
Sports are back. We're getting more and more. We're going to have some fans, at least in some capacity, for a lot of these sporting events, and we'll see, fingers crossed, if we can keep progressing in the right direction.
We're going in the right direction. We're going forward. It doesn't matter how we get there. We're getting there. We're getting there.
We got to keep on keeping on, Chuck.
Well, Ryan, if there is nothing else, man, I'll go ahead and close this out.
Close us out.
All right, I am Chuck Hicks of the Run and Shoot Podcast.
I'm Ryan.
And, man, we will see you next time. Tune in for the next episode.
And that's the truth. With some cheese on it. There ain't no meatloaf between these buns.